Welcome back to Thursday Tier Talk with the lads. How we doing, man?
All good, man.
All
All
good here.
good.
Good. This is the show we bring you every Thursday live, where you in the chat and the subscribers get the chance to come on and talk about everything that we talk about, but nothing really to do with transfers. We try to avoid transfers on this Thursday show because every channel out there at the moment is just gone transfer mad. So towards the end of the show, if we have time, we'll have a little chat about transfers and what's going on at the moment. But the vast bulk of this show won't be about transfers. So we're going to start. We put it out there the other day, and we sent it out to our WhatsApp group and all our socials and all that kind of thing. And we said we'd have a chat about this, no less, footballing iconic hairstyles. And we asked our subscribers and our listeners and our followers, have they ever taken the plunge and went with one of these haircuts from their icons or favorite player or team or whatever it was. Um, Darren, let's start with you. Have you tried out any of those iconic hairstyles at any stage? Not necessarily the ones
So,
on the screen or anyone.
yeah, so I haven't tried out any of the ones on the screen. However, I played an awful lot of golf as a child. And one of the guys that was kind of around then, and he's still around now, but he was much younger and kind of hipper and cooler. Big Arsenal fan, one Mr. Ian Poulter. And of course,
Yeah.
Poulter used to have all the crazy outfits and the trousers and the hair and the whole shoot match. So I actually got suspended from my golf club as a junior because of my hair. I got it bleached up and stuff like that. My brother was going out with a hairdresser, and she bleached it up for me. Now I'll tell you how many times she had to bleach it, right? Because my hair is quite dark. So she bleached it up 5 times to the point where my scalp was scalded, and she had to pour a 2 litre of milk over my head to try and get my pores to close back up, right? So after we had the bleach on it, I had it cut into like a kind of a spiky bit, kind of like what Messi has going on here.
Yeah.
And I dyed one side of it red and one side of it blue with the crazy colour, right? And then, of course, as you have 2 or 3 washes, it all starts to just merge, and it's all looking like a murky sort of a purpley colory, bluey, dark kind of a colour, you know. And I thought it was
Yeah.
the business, had it all sitting up, looked great. Went to the golf club one day, got a letter in the post to say I'd been suspended for breaking and breaching the dress code.
Wow.
And my dad had to go up and kind of plead my case because I was only a junior. I was maybe 15 or 16 at the time. He had to go up and plead my case. And one of the cases he pleaded was, half the ladies in here have a blue rinse. What's your problem with his one?
How did that go down?
It didn't go great. I had to take the suspension. And I was warned about future conduct and about my attire and stuff like that and how I dress, because I like to dress a certain way and I like to feel a certain way when I'm playing my sports and stuff like that, golf or tennis or
You like to
football and
look
stuff
the
like that.
part. Look the part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wear these in work, or I wear these when I play tennis.
He wears
So you
golf
can
shoes
see
when he
them.
plays tennis. Beautiful.
They're quite out there, right? So like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I like to be loud and kind of in your face and stuff like that. Other than with my mouth, that is. And yeah, I
Very unwimbledon like.
very unwimbledon like. I
It's more the
regularly get
French
the
Open
old
there, Dazzler, isn't it? More the
I
French Open.
regularly get the old Nick Kyrgios chat, which is, where's your whites? And I'm like, don't wear it. I'm like,
Yeah, and
fat blokes don't wear
I
white.
was going to bring that up. I seen that the other day where he was being interviewed and they were asking him about the clobber and all. It's not
Yeah.
me.
It's
all
not
this,
him. It's not him, and you don't want to force, or like we had a vote very early on in our club whether we wanted it to be an all whites club or not, with our attire. And for me, it was never a case of being an all white club. I just think it's a bit snobbish, and I think it turns an awful lot of people off, and I think it stops people from being themselves and showing people their personality through the clothes they wear and stuff like that. And like
expressing
I'm all
themselves.
for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I love
Especially
seeing
kids.
Kyrgios. Well, one
Yeah.
of the ladies in the club said to me the other day, "Isn't it great? Did you see his tattoos, the sleeve and stuff?" Now, like, this lady's probably in her 70s. you know. But even she was able to say, like, it's so un-tennis-like. You know, and I think it all adds to the colour of the game and stuff like that. And that's important. Because without that, you don't attract kids and you don't attract the future stars, you know?
Yeah. Trouble in the house. Del Boy Gunners in there. What's the crack, Del? Good to see you there in the comments. Let us know, Del. Did you ever partake in a player's hairstyle in the past when you were younger?
Derek might have seen some of my hairstyles because we'd have been floating around the same place at a similar sort of time. Derek might have seen some of my hairstyles, but I'm pretty sure the only hairstyle I've seen on Derek, other than the one he sports day to day, every now and again I think he takes the clippers at it and goes like pretty short. But I think other than that, he hasn't done anything too out there, let's say. But I might be wrong.
Very good. Ian, you mentioned to us on the WhatsApp group you partaked in a couple of these hairstyles.
Well, neither of you boys would be surprised. I know you wouldn't be, Dazzler, and I certainly know you wouldn't be, Niall.
Absolutely not. I'd have actually been disappointed if you hadn't, Ian.
Of course, exactly, bro, exactly. Like Dazzler talking about being out there. Yeah, I was a Red Hot Chili Peppers kid, so you know what I mean. But no, I had Jesus, what I would have been 10, obviously, World Cup '94, but the year and the build up to that. No, sorry, I tell a lie. It was actually World Cup '94. Just before that, Baggio had become, one of my favorite players because all the lads in school were talking about him. So, like, I'm 10 years of age, so I decided to go for the old rat's tail. Didn't have it quite as long now as Roberto has in that particular picture, but I got it long enough just to where it was nearly ready to be beaded, but then it was school time. So the parents made a decision that it wasn't going to be. But in saying that, the following, I think 2 years later, do you boys remember when all the Italian Chelsea boys and Dan Petrescu all bleached the front part of their hair? Do you remember Di Matteo done it?
Yeah,
they all went like a whitey colour. Yeah, they bleached.
Yeah. So my stepmom
did it on a pre-season tour, didn't they?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And my stepmom put a little bit of the bleach in the front of the hair, so I was rocking the Di Matteo for a little while. But then after that, it was just I was trying to grow my hair exactly into Del Piero, and you know what I mean. That nice, the little curtains and the little bit on the side, the kind of Bruce Springsteen. It's not quite a mullet, but it's layered. And then it was looking nice, and I was doing my best to shave the sides so that I could grow those tiny little skinny sideburns that Del Boy had. And then later in life, it got boring. I grew my hair, and then when I played football, I used to wear that little hairband that Crespo used to wear. The little elastic band.
The Alice band.
Cover the hair.
Yeah.
The Alice band. Yeah. But they were great, and Crespo looks shit cool like that. That still doesn't age, so. But yeah, I would have thought Dazzler would have went for Beck's look or two actually.
I've actually had the band before. I used to wear the band. You know the zigzag one?
It's like a
and you push it in at the front, and it holds the front part down, and the back is all a bit kind of out of control. Then Beckham used to wear one of them, and I was like, I need one of these in my life. Same way you're talking there, because I was such a little Beckham fanboy, and I was like, I got to get one of these. And I think I managed to stroke it out of one of my sister's rooms. I seen it one day, and I was like, shit, that's what I'm looking for. Give me that, And was playing in goal for a little while, and I think I took a little bit of stick for it, because when you're a 6-foot goalkeeper and you're rocking this band, it's doesn't
not
do
a good look
for the old credibility, you know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, I don't mean this with any disrespect, but there was no Pride Month back then. You can wear the fuck what you want now, but back then, it was like, what the fuck?
I'm thinking, Dazzler, as you're telling me about that, I'm thinking of the Swiss goalkeeper. What's his name?
Jan Sommer.
Sommer.
Yes,
he wears a band as well, doesn't he? In the nets and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Good goalkeeper.
Dazzler Sommer. Yeah, that's her new name. Dazzler Sommer.
Del's back again. Derek's back again. I've done the Freddie Lundberg red stripe down the middle.
Good man, Del boy.
Oh, I tell you.
Of course you did.
Good
you
man,
put that in. That must have been just before a Blink 182 concert or something like that. Absolutely, Freddie Lundberg. Freddie Lundberg, what a player! Freddie Lundberg, lads, what a player!
It was, what broke my heart about Freddie Lundberg? For about 36 games a season. He was bang average, and every time he played United, he looked like he was fucking Brazilian or something. I was like, lads, why does this kid only break out the red panties against us? Like, give us a break here, will you?
Yeah. The closest lads I ever.
Red strip.
I don't know what it was, but
It's red strip night.
yeah.
The closest any of these lads I ever went to was probably Messi. In my 90s, I spent a lot of time in the beat and I loved the rave scene and going out clubbing and stuff like that. And if you remember back then, there was a band back then, if you can remember, called Scooter. They were a big German band, I think it was. And
Scooter in the house.
Hyper would have been one of their big songs.
Yeah.
So I went with the Messi one there. See the blonde? I went blonde. Regretted it till this day, but I did go blonde for a while during my clubbing scenes in the 90s. I did indeed.
Never regret. No regret.
You know what my favourite hairstyle out of all of them is the Ronaldo one, because of the significance of it. And I don't know if you remember. This was a kid
with cancer,
before one of the major tournaments, and he met this kid, and the kid was feeling a bit sorry for himself because he had this scar after having I think it was a brain tumor, it was cancer, it was something, and he was very sick, this kid. Yeah. And Ronaldo was like, listen, don't worry about it. I'm going to have a scar just like yours. And he carved it into his head to make the kid feel better. Like, you can say what you want about, Ronaldo as a footballer, but as a human being, he's a really good guy. He does exceptional charitable work. And to do something like that for a kid to make him feel better, like, he can only go up in your estimate.
Super cool,
yeah.
The other one up in the corner there, the other Ronaldo one. I remember during the lockdown about 18 months, 2 years ago, when we were in the depths of the lockdown and everything was closed. When we were cutting our own hair at home, if you remember, the two boys came into me to get two haircuts, and I was thinking, remember the scene from Police Academy, take it all off? I was thinking of that. So I brought the two boys in and I was shaving their heads. They wanted blade twos, I think it was, buzz cuts basically, so it's handy enough. I wouldn't be a skilled barber by any stretch. But what I did was I got the two boys and I shaved the Ronaldo hairstyle in, and I said nothing to them. And I said, there you go, lads, are done. They'd no idea. They went downstairs to Hillary. Well, she fell off the couch laughing. The two boys walked in with the two Ronaldos. I left a little bit just on the front. It was absolutely quality. So when the two boys came running back upstairs to me, get that front bit off quick. Yeah, it was crazy. Absolutely. Morris is in the house.
If Morris is in the house, that means he's only coming for one person.
Trouble. Question for Ian, straight out of the blocks. Who's going to replace your top scorer, Lukaku's goals this season? Lukaku love.
Well, considering Havertz was only two behind him, I bank on him to get two more. But probably Ronaldo.
Could be a combination of Ronaldo, Dybala, whoever else. Frankie de Jong. If you get him, he'll probably outscore Lukaku this season. Yeah, good.
I love you, Morris. I
think Mrs. de Jong would outscore Lukaku.
The question I want to put to Morris. The question I want to put to Morris is Jesus going to score the same amount of goals as Lacazette? That's the real question.
Well, if you remember our fantasy football group today when we were talking, a number of guys think this guy is going to have a heck of a season, including one man, my co-host on this show.
Yeah, I think
I do too. I'm just teasing.
I think he's going to do very, very well. I saw a great piece earlier on, and it was about Lyon, and the 95 million they got for selling Tolisso and Lacazette to only get the two of them back for free in 5 years. I was like, quality bit of business.
Got them back for free. Yeah.
Morris says he should hope Ronaldo will get more goals than Lukaku. Morris, quick question for you while you're in there.
That wasn't Ronaldo. He's hoping Jesus will get more than Lacazette.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Morris, quick question for you while you're there as well. We want to know, have you ever partaked in a player's hairstyle when you were growing up as a kid or a youth or a young adult? A player that influenced you to get your hair.
Morris is from.
Well, Morris is going for the.
I'd say there's more chance.
Morris is going for the Tintin look at the moment. If anyone knows Tintin,
you could get the head shave, couldn't you, and get the slither look. You know
I'd say Morris went for the old DJ Carey at one stage, or the old Henry Shefflin, because they were the only two boys that could crack an old schlitter down that neck of the woods,
But
wasn't it?
Dazzler though, if you notice Morris, he's definitely a fan of Tintin because he has that little tuft at the front and he spikes that shit up and he has that youthful look as well. So he's definitely a Tintin fan for sure.
Morris came back, not really, not much hair. Darren, let's talk about let's talk about Beckham. I mean, he's had so many hairstyles. He has been so influential in terms of culture and fashion and stuff like that with his hairstyles. Be it corn rolled, be it mohawk, be it shaved. Even he went for that he originally went for, remember that polter look as well, with the blonde and the hair slightly long at the back and long on top as well.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you reckon is the most iconic one? Probably the mohawk?
No, I actually don't. You know what I think is most iconic
the long hair,
was? No? I would have said when he shaved it. He shaved it just pre-season. And I think we left our first day of the season at home, and everybody came in and it was like, oh my God, Beckham shaved all his hair off. And he scored a free kick to make the game 2-2, and we drew. You know, he got us out of jail. I think everyone was running to go and get the clippers and just go, oh, give us a Beckham. So I think it's when he got it all done. Remember, he had it really short and he scored the free kick. He ran over to the camera and everything, gave it one of them. I would say that one myself now, but.
Cool. Great show. Mark's in the house. Trouble's in the house, you know. Mark Rennan's in the house. Evening, lads. How are you, Mark? Good to have you on board.
Mark's my boy. Mark's my boy.
Has Mark? Well, let's pose the same question to Mark then. Mark, have you ever followed a player and copied his hairstyle when you were younger?
Can I answer that for Mark? Considering I was in school with him.
You can indeed.
I see you. He had those little Beckham curtains. The little curtains. He definitely had that. So. But that's not a bad haircut.
Were they the Beckham curtains or the altar boy curtains? Which one?
No, the Beckham curtains. I don't know what he done as an altar boy. Mark can answer that himself. But they were definitely Beckham curtains.
Our resident rep is in the house.
Our resident rep
is in the house. All right, lads, looking well. I've always just had the Elvis quiff, as Niall will tell you. But I did have the Beckham eyebrow little shaved line. Anyone go for the shaved line, the fake eyebrow scar?
Had it in both of them.
Don't have much eyebrows.
I two on one side and one on the other.
Funny, I think Mark probably went for that least sharp look.
I've actually, do you know what? If I send you a picture now, can you try and get it up on the screen?
I don't think. No, I don't think I can.
You might be able to put it in the
technologically advanced yet.
We're getting there.
We'll drop it in the thumbnail. We will be able to do it as soon as we get rid of this powered by StreamYard. We will be able to do it.
I happen to know of a picture here of myself with the slit in the eyebrows and everything. Yep, there you go. Don't know whether you can see that. That's the double slit. Can you see that there now?
Zoom in a little bit there.
Yeah.
See the double slit in the eyebrow over here? Got the big...
you look like Shane Lynch, man. You look like Shane Lynch from Boyzone.
There's about 14 pounds of hair gel in that as well. Fair play, Daz. And you got the little spiky bit going on the back. The back comb on the back and everything.
It's all through the middle, the back comb up the back, the big earring and the double slit in the eyebrow and all. I was a man about town when I was about 14 stone light.
You look good, Dazzler. You look good. I like it.
That picture was taken 14 years ago, just after my little lad was born, the first of them. So that's what 14 years did to me. Jesus.
You still look good.
The road is long, but the journey will be worth it, huh? Mark's back in the house. My brother went with the Freddie red hair. I think a lot of Gooners went with the Freddie red hair back then, didn't they? He was going to kill Freddie Lumber. Great player. Absolutely sensational player. He absolutely was. Let's move on.
Was he cool?
He was. Freddie Lumber was a kill, dude.
He was kill. He used to do the boxer shorts ads. Was it Calvin Klein he used to do? He used to stand and the women went mental for him. He used to do those black and white snaps.
Didn't he do Armani as well at one stage?
I don't know. I thought it was Calvin Klein, but I'm open to persuasion on
it. Yeah, absolutely.
How do you know I was in those dirty girl magazines, Brett?
Let's have a quick chat, Ian. This is one for you, and then we'll get everyone else's comments. Your new home strip released today. It's coming up there momentarily.
See it, yeah.
Give us your thoughts on it first. What do you think of it?
I love it. I know a lot of the Chelsea fan base didn't. I mean, I kind of loved it anyway. I like, as you know, Niall and Dazzler, you know me very, very well. As you know from my podcast, Dynamos Dozen, you always notice how I mix those blues, the kind of the royal blue with the kind of electric blue. I like it. I like it. There's a lot of Chelsea fans that don't like it. I know there's a lot of Chelsea fans that don't like it because of the tree thing, but at the same time, that's whatever. You know what I mean? You need sponsorship money. But no, I do. I actually genuinely like it. I like it better than last year's kit, if I'm being honest with you. Just my personal
not having a horse in the race. I would find it very hard to have a problem with that jersey. Like, it's very, very inoffensive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that's kind of way out there where you're going, don't like that. Like, it's a fairly standard blue kit. I can see the kind of a check pattern in the jersey. You've got the tree, the Nike, obviously, and I think the collar looks cool with the white and that little
Dazzler,
blue
guess
going
what?
through it.
Funny enough, you should say that. And shout out to my brother Paul Cannaville, obviously Chelsea legend as well. They all hate the design because of the collar, because they think it looks like a kind of a curtain design, but it's not. It's actually Stanford the Lion kind of going through it in that kind of light blue through the white. I agree with you. I think it's actually pretty fucking nice, to be honest.
Jeez, I gotta say, I think it's nice. No, I have to say.
Our resident heel is back in the house. 3 out of 10.
It's no wonder he calls himself GP. Come on, you can do better than that, Morris.
That's also, the best gag you've ever seen. That's the best gag ever.
Also, I tell our subscribers and our viewers as well to go check out a new show that released today. We're starting a fantasy football show. Morris is going to be heading it up. The first episode released today, and we've also released the links and codes to join our upper tier league this year as well. If you fancy doing that, bit of crack.
Go check out all Morris's shows. To be fair, great show, GP podcast.
Yeah. No, this is his show with us. This is his show on the tier.
Oh no, I know. I'm just promoting him now, even though I'm ripping on him.
You know, when the new United jersey, the home jersey, releases at 9 a.m. in the morning.
We'll feature that next week as we try to avoid transfer talk.
Just throwing it out there, you know.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna just get rid of that now, and we are gonna have a chat about. Apparently, a Spurs fan wasn't happy with the thoughts of Christian Eriksen joining Man United to the point where he decided to burn his jersey. I thought this was crazy, and the fact that he was basically on his own, because it was the only one that I've seen. I noticed as well that he's using a cheap barbecue tray underneath it as well, which wouldn't be great. You know?
Imagine burning the jersey of a guy that died on the football pitch and was brought back to life by Jesus. Like, what type of fucking weirdo headbanger are you that you're at that kind of shit? Like, Spurs fans need to really have a look in the mirror. Honest to God, they really, really do. They do themselves no favors with their stupid chants, with their, you know.
Well, in this case, I'd use this as singly because I think this guy was on his own.
And you heard why he did it, because Eriksen said back in 2007 he wouldn't play for another English club. But what about Brentford, lads? Was that not in on the bleeding? Are Brentford now in somewhere else? Like,
did you see his status as well? And he goes, "I'm a man of my word." And then he goes, "Here it is." And he showed the before and after pictures, and you were like, dude, like, Eriksen's been a thing again for a little while in the Premier League. I don't know whether you noticed. And it's a London club as well.
I thought you were going to tell me the status said he was single, and that wouldn't have shocked me either.
Oh, well, he's probably singular, as in like one singular brain cell, evidently. But he's a problem to society for sure.
It's a kind of phrase. I thought you were going to say he was single because he was a nasty little virgin.
He's out of pocket a few, Bob. Anyway, that's for sure.
What a kibosh.
No, that's ridiculous. Listen, that's a success story, man. Like Ericsson going back to play, professionally with Brentford was one thing, but then going to Man United as well. When we all thought he wasn't
The
wasn't going
guy's
to do
been
anything
dead
again.
and buried, and he's ended up at a bigger club than he was ever at.
Yeah.
There you go. I concur. I concur with that one,
Go
Dazzler.
figure.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Imagine Morris is back. Imagine born in a fella's jersey who won fuck all at the club. Goes down as a Spurs legend for playing good football under the trophy dodging posh.
Jesus.
Morris, you're on
Tell us how
fire
you
tonight.
really
You're
feel,
on
Morris.
fire.
Tell us how you really feel. I challenged him to do better, and guess what? He's fucking doing better.
He's knocking it
That
out
was
of the
brilliant.
park now, that's for sure. Let's throw this open to the chat as well. What's the feeling on this whole like born in jerseys and stuff like that? And you see lads throwing jerseys into bins and off cliffs and all sorts of stuff. It's kind of changed a little bit now, isn't it, with the way players move around and stuff like that. Lads kind of, when players get to a certain level now, there's kind of an expectation. If the club they're at isn't meeting their expectation or ambition, they tend to move on anyway, don't they? And I think now we tend to wish them well, don't we, if it's handled in the right way, don't we?
There's an acceptance, I think, rather than anything. It's not maybe a well-wishing, but there's an acceptance that they're going on to bigger and better things that they can't maybe achieve at the club they're at. And the club that they're at is being rewarded handsomely, hopefully, by, a nice fee coming in, which they can reinvest in the squad and push the whole club forward. Like, it's not really anything for fans to give out a bit, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah.
One of the big ones, I think I remember, Niall, which was you boys as well, which was obviously the Torres one, but that was at a time where we were just transitioning into what we have now. And going from a direct rival, because Chelsea and Liverpool were such big rivals at the time. There was a lot of kind of Torres burning, but I think that was more so that Torres was your boy. Do you know what I mean? Suarez hadn't quite come in. You didn't know what you were getting with Suarez or Andy Carroll. But you don't really see that a lot of that anymore. Like even with Liverpool now with Mane and all things kind of tend to.
Yeah, but you have to remember Liverpool can be an awful lot more gracious with Mane leaving after what he's achieved at the club. If Torres had brought the level of success to Liverpool that Mane had, now okay, he didn't do it on his own, but he was part of a squad and a team that did. Maybe you're a little more gracious when he leaves the building. Do you know?
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what way the exit is handled, isn't it? Like, are you forcing it through? Is it comfortable? Is the club happy to accept it and all that kind of stuff? I think with the Torres one, it was kind of like
mid-season as well,
to take at the time. Yeah, I don't think I was as upset at Torres going as I was at how they spent the money that we got for him. That nearly killed me more than the actual Torres going himself. Before we get into talking, I want to talk a little bit about PSG. Obviously, Poch is gone and Gaultier is in, but we'll have a quick chat about PSG. There's no doubt about that. But Darren, a friend of yours, Richarlison, is after picking up a ban for the first game of the season over the issue with the flares in the Chelsea game. I think it was in. So I was quite happy.
You were delighted at that.
I was absolutely. That was my celebration yesterday.
I had that feeling. I had a feeling you were delighted at that. No, it's no point in lying here.
I thought I'd just bring it up. Let's have a quick chat.
Are you getting that little jab in just before he tears it up this season and you have to swallow the humble pie?
Well, he'll be bottom of the goal scoring ranks after the first game anyway. So I'm okay.
Right,
okay. Let's have a quick chat about PSG, lads. Wanted to have a chat about this tonight. Not so much in terms of a signing or a transfer, but in terms of what do we think about the way in which they go about their business? You have a manager there in Poch who won the league this year, albeit he fell short last year. But like, it's stability really that they need, isn't it? And I know that they strive to win the Champions League, but I'm not sure whether they're going to get to a point where they win the Champions League by just continually dumping managers year after year after year. Darren, what's your thoughts on this?
I don't think Poch kind of set the world alight over there, if I'm honest. It wasn't necessarily the makeup, the right kind of situation for him to flourish in, I believe. I think if if Poch is going to go in and do something somewhere, he's going to go in with an underperforming squad and with not a lot of money, and he's going to get the youth in, and he's going to do what he did at the likes of Southampton and Tottenham. I don't necessarily think he's going to be the guy that's going to come in and deal with all those big stars. And that's what it comes down to, you know. I think Christophe Galtier, he's a very, very different kind of a manager, you know. I think he would pride himself at Lille on bringing those big names in. Look, they've had a number of big name players at Lille over the last number of years brought into the club, you know, who weren't performing elsewhere, and he was able to get the best out of, you know, the likes of Renato Sanchez and stuff like that. And they've had a lot of players like that, you know. They've recruited very, very well, but he's done a great job with them. Like, and I think from this point, they're probably going to look to. I think that the PSG project is changing now for me. I think they've looked at what they've done, in a sense, and how they've spent the money. And I think now, obviously, with a lot of money gone into the Mbappe deal, I think now they're going to look for younger, Frencher, and they're going to look to grow that squad differently, rather than just keep, you know, fizzing massive transfer fees out for this guy and that guy. I think even with their boys at the minute, if you were looking at them, they bought the boy Vitinho and stuff like that. He's not typically the kind of player they would go for because he doesn't have that big of a profile, but he's a guy that Galtier wanted. He's a guy he wanted because he feels like he can perform in a side with the likes of an Mbappe and stuff like that, you know, and get the best out of each other. So I think there's big changes afoot with PSG, if I'm honest. I think they're looking to probably get rid of Neymar. I think if somebody came in and would take Messi off them, they'd take their hand off. And I think they'd have Mbappe as their figure, their kind of franchise player, and then they'd fill the gaps a lot differently. That's my feeling on it.
Do you think in doing that, Ian, following on from Darren's point, do you think if they do that, do you think that they could eventually then land the Champions League?
Well, I think it's the right recipe. I think a lot of people are looking at what kind of Liverpool kind of set the benchmark there, as much as it pains me to say, as I always say. But they've set the benchmark in kind of buying smart. I know, like Darren mentioned, the boy Vitinho there. Even though it's still quite a hefty fee, it's not a PSG hefty fee. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be relatively decent wages for a player of his ilk, but it's not overpaying. You could even talk, they were trying to get rid of Hakimi as well in some way because he's not happy there. You'll probably see, you know, next transfer window, they'll start easing out some of these big players. And I think the signing of Luis Campos, I've been looking at Campos for quite a while as the director of football. Very, very impressive director of football, done great things at Monaco. I'm sure you know, Dazzler, because you know your French football. Yeah. You could see the formula that they're going for. They're trying to keep it, you know, logistics wise, they're trying to keep it right. Let's scout what we have in our own kind of domain, being France, because so many quality ballers within that region, and obviously the regions that's around Belgium, you know, and all the Africans and all that stuff as well. So yeah, I think if they go for that model, it's a scary proposition. You know, in terms of Champions League, and I do think you will see them kind of get there eventually. I think it's a much better model than the model that we've been used to over the last, you know, 5-6 years. So yeah, I agree with Dazzler. I think Luis Campos and Galtier together, perfect.
I think it allows them to build, whereas previously they were buying for immediate success. I think if you look at Galtier, you know, and you look at the squad he has at his disposal at the minute, I don't necessarily expect that to be the squad PSG go into the season with. You know, they'll bring some other guys in, but I think they'll also let some guys go and stuff like that, and they look to clear the decks a little bit. I think the French league is a given for them. You know, it's a given that they'll win it because they've so much quality at their disposal. But I think what the likes of the owner and stuff like that and the fans want to see is them building, you know, where they go quarterfinals, semi-finals, you know, where you can almost feel like when United won their Champions League in 99, they had been to the semi-finals for a couple of seasons previous. They'd been to the quarters for a couple of seasons previous. They built themselves up, and the squad had grown through those competitions to the stage where they had arrived. They were mature, they were in the right moment, and it was there for them. I think that's what, and I think I'd echo what Ian said there. And they're looking to buy smart now instead of hard. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Great show. David's in the house. Thanks for joining us tonight, Dave, and taking the time. He says, evening, lads. If you're taking the time out of your day to burn a jersey that you paid for, you need to have a little look at your life. Spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Spot on. Did a bit of digging today.
Big shout out to Dave. He's one of the good guys, by the way. Big shout out to
always
Dave.
Always in the comments, stuff like that. Great to have you on board. Did a little digging today on Ronaldo. Not showing up for training again today. And I found this, no less. His 600k Rolls Royce Ghost had been clamped in Portugal in the city of Lisbon. Isn't that mad? Like, just look at how beautiful that car is, first of all. But yeah,
imagine the kind of heat that the guy who clamped Ronaldo's car is going to get.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Imagine that kind of heat. Like, that's nuclear heat. That's not cheap heat. That's nuclear heat.
Absolutely.
This lad has a fucking statue in the city, for God's sakes. What are you talking about? What are you doing?
I'm thinking how much fear I would have just putting that clamp on that wheel. That wheel's probably 50 grand.
You know, I fully expect Ronaldo to come out and cut an old school NWA style Ric Flair promo on this guy and say, these shoes cost more than your house. And the guy will realize, I am sorry, sir. And look, you know, it's not even painted well, the clamp. Look.
I'd love him to come out with an old school. I'd love him to come out with an old school WBC Tyson Fury quote, and you go, "It's all right, boys. I got a hacksaw on the boot."
Can you imagine? But you know, I wonder why they clamped him as well, because he's not even on a
we do in the Liberties, right?
Absolutely.
Just a quick segue. just a quick segue. I saw that one time as I was walking through for lunch in the Liberties, two lads with the hacksaw, getting the shit off the thing with a hammer and a hacksaw, and I was like,
I seen a guy down at Super Value the other day. Actually, I was parked beside one today in Bray. It was clamped down in the Queensborough area. Ian, you know it well. Clamped. And I seen one clamped the other day. A guy was in a people carrier with a load of kids. And the kids were going ballistic. And you know when you ring these guys, they take forever to come back and do it as well. They really inconvenience you as well as charging. But this guy, the kids were sweltering in the back of this people carrier. And the missus was having a meltdown. He was having a meltdown. And I was going, this isn't going to end well at all. Speaking of things that didn't go too well, in our friend Axl Rose concert the other night, he was supposed to have a concert the other night in the new White Hart Lane, that fabulous new stadium that Spurs have. But took ill and couldn't do the concert, but apparently spent the night there and slept in the new stadium. So we're hoping he's okay. Not too sure. We didn't hear what it was, but this happens a number of times.
I know what it was.
On tour.
I know what it was. he was absolutely fine when he left us the last time I saw him, which was in Dublin.
Marley.
He would have been fine if it was in any other stadium in London. He just, unfortunately, he just suffered the unbearability of the, the white people and Spurs, and it was just, it was intolerable for him, and I hope he's okay too. I don't know why they kept him in there overnight. I mean, you're asking for trouble. The disease is only going to get worse by keeping him there the longer you leave him there. So, Godspeed by getting him out of there. We're praying for you, Axel.
I reckon he went full Spurs on it and just bottled it and couldn't do it. Just
Morris
Morris
lads is on fire tonight. He must have slept in the trophy room. There's loads of space.
He's coming at us tonight, isn't he?
I fucking love it. That's one thing me and Morris have in common is what? It's a mutual hate
of Spurs.
He must have slept in the trophy room. Quality. Morris, you're on fire tonight. Awesome. Quick one, Darren, for you that we wanted to chat about. Duncan Ferguson has left Everton to pursue managerial ambitions. What you thinking on that?
I think it's a big loss for Everton, if I'm honest. I do possibly feel like we're not maybe getting the full story on this. Obviously, Dunk has jumped in a couple of times into the hot seat and he's looked after Everton in between managers and stuff like that. He hasn't on 2 occasions now gotten the gig. And I would imagine if Frank wants to put his stamp on the club, it's very difficult with a character like Dunk around. So I would think there was maybe, there might have been a conversation here where Frank might have said, listen, Dunk, you're a huge personality and I respect you massively, but for me to gain the kind of respect I need as a manager, I can't have you here as an assistant. And maybe it would be better for you to two-step down the road and get the job at Tranmere or something like that. You know what I mean? That's only my feeling on it. But I think it would be difficult with anyone with Big Dunk there. He's revered by the fans. They're almost wishing something goes wrong. They're almost wishing something goes wrong just so Dunk gets the reins again. That's tough.
I heard a rumor there as well that he wants to. Frank wants to bring his boy, and our boy, Chelsea boy, Jody Morris in as his assistant manager again as well, because obviously that's who he worked with at Derby and Chelsea as well. So it would probably make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think with being so close to the end of the season when Frank came in, you don't make that change. Yeah. You make sure you see the boy in the league and stuff like that, and you change in the summer, and everything's done before they go away on pre-season or whatever, and the whole thing is hunky-dory,
Yeah.
But best of luck to Big Dunk, because Big Dunk's a gent.
Absolutely. I like Big Dunk as well, even though he was a Rangers boy. I'm always a fan of Big Dunk. When you take down, remember that famous, just a little side story. Remember that time two lads back when he was still playing, whatever, and two lads broke into his gaff and he bet the bollocks out of both of them.
Not surprised.
No, not a man I'd want to get on the wrong side.
Absolutely. Darren, you gave us a story earlier in the day about Reading, with this new ticket idea that they have that they're pushing out there to the clubs in the championship.
I thought it was
have
brilliant.
A chat about it, yeah,
thought it was really brilliant. So Reading made contact with the other 23 clubs in the championship and offered them a deal where their fans could avail of away tickets for £20, provided that the teams that were coming in would do the same for the travelling Reading fans. I think there was 3 or 4 teams that had agreed to it by the time we kind of went out on air. But I think this is something that has to be regulated almost. I think there's got to be a cap on things. Because I think if you're a football fan, you want to see full stadiums. And it doesn't necessarily matter how much it costs somebody to get into that stadium. You want the stadium to be full. I watched the England Lionesses last night. And they beat Austria 1-0 in the opener of the Euros. And Old Trafford was sold out for the England women's team. That's amazing for those women. And it's amazing for all those little girls sitting at home watching and going, I want to play there. I want to play in front of them fans. And I want to play for that jersey. And regardless of if everyone only paid £1 in, I don't care. Everybody went and supported. And that's what it should be for, your international games. We don't want to see people being priced out of going to their country's matches. I think with what Reading are doing, they're setting a precedent in the championship. Hopefully that would follow to the Premier League as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd be surprised if it followed to the Premier League. Would you? I mean, it's just the level
I wouldn't,
of money.
And I'll tell you why I wouldn't. Because I happen to know a similar sort of a deal, which apparently is trying to be brokered behind the scenes in the Premier League, which is when the TV rights are finished. And when they finish selling the TV rights, what they're going to try and do is each individual team is going to sell the rights to their own games through their own, Chelsea TV, MU TV, Liverpool TV. So you will only be able to watch that. You won't be able to watch it on Sky. You won't be able to watch it on BT. You won't be able to watch it on Premier Sports. You will only get it through this particular media outlet, be it the United channel or the Liverpool channel or the Chelsea channel. And the way you will get to see your team's away games is that each team in the league will give those away games to the opposition on the basis it goes both ways. If that makes sense, yeah? So when Liverpool come to Manchester, we give the Liverpool channel all the footage from the game and we provide it to them, provided they give us the footage from the Liverpool game in Anfield and we push that out to our fans. And then all the clubs then will look after their own individual broadcasting, because then they can maximize what they can get out of it rather than being capped at X amount of money.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think at a Premier League level and probably at the Championship level as well though, you'd have to get you'd have to get like agreement across the board, wouldn't you? Really, you'd have to work really across the board in order for it to really work properly. Because you couldn't have a situation where, let's say, the two matches each season, the Liverpool Man United game, say for example, and we have an agreement to do that, and we do it, and then the following week, say it's Spurs or it's Arsenal or whatever, and you don't have an agreement, and you're going down something different. So it'd be nice if we created it across the board.
Yes, and that's what I believe is trying to be brokered behind the scenes before they get to that point, so that there's a kind of unanicism to it that, okay, we're all very, very happy with how this is going to work. Because then all Liverpool go and do is they sell, Liverpool TV to as many Liverpool fans as humanly possible. And if they're taking in, 100 million subscriptions worldwide at $9.99 a month, they're taking in big bucks. And they're going to do that every month. Now, of course, there's 2 months of the year, maybe your July and August, when it's going to be a bit thin on the ground and people might jump out, whatever. But there may be the months where you put your extra shows on and you show your highlights and you drop the price to $4.99 so that people don't opt out and you still have the cash flow coming in. Because at that stage, you don't have bums on seats either way, so it makes no odds.
Yeah, and you're not carrying as much cost either during those times either. So yeah, it's good. It's a great show. Del Boy back on here. He says we're providing great entertainment while he gets tattooed. Come on, Del Boy, what's the crack? You can't come on and tell us you're getting tattooed and not tell us what you're getting done. We need to know what you're getting tattooed.
Niall, he's having a tattoo party.
I'm not too sure about
Bam.
that. Mark, our resident ref, is back on again. Great idea. Saying Blackpool have signed up for it as well, Darren. I think when I looked today, also we had Cardiff, Blackburn, and Huddersfield that signed up to it at that stage.
Yeah, there was certainly 3 or 4. All right, it's such a good initiative, like it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sounds great. Morris is back again. Be a good idea to get fans into the Etihad.
The empty had.
As Jim Beglin so rightly called it live on commentary.
Jesus, imagine that. Oh, good Lord. Oh, he's going in now. He's even going in on his own now. Del Boy is in an Arteta out tattoo you're getting. It could very
you get
well
me blood.
be.
You get me blood.
It could very
I reckon he's getting the cannon down his shaft and the wheels on his ball sack. So it looked like he's actually...
Del Boy, Derek, if you are getting that done, you need to let us know. As Darren called it, the cannon down the shaft and the wheels.
But don't send pictures though. Do not send pictures.
No.
We'll take your word for it.
We're not at the level where we can share them at this stage anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Share pictures of your shaft on the WhatsApp group will get you moved quicker than Wayne. That's a fact.
We're not having a party in the pants party. Do you know what I mean?
No way.
Little bit of fun today from Liverpool Airport. I don't know if you guys caught the tweet.
Never.
About Ronaldo.
Didn't even know you had an airport, to be fair, but there you go. I just thought it was the ferry.
Named after the great man John Lennon. You should know better.
I know it is. And now you got me as well, and I apologise.
But the airport came out today with this tweet saying that basically if Ronaldo's having trouble getting out of Manchester, he could pop down the road. They'd facilitate him in getting out of Manchester, basically, Thought it was a weird one, came out on Twitter, but Twitter's a wonderful world at times, isn't it? But yeah, pop it up there, bit of fun. Let's have a quick chat, lads. We're coming up nearly onto the close to the air. We've about 10 minutes or so to go, so I thought we'd have a little chat at the end of the show about transfers and what's going on. Darren, give us an update on your thoughts on United at the moment, as most teams are heading out now for their pre-season tournaments heading off tomorrow. Most players at this stage, I think, have literally returned at this stage. What do you think where Man United are at?
It's only Ronaldo who we don't have back, as far as I know. I think everyone else is back. I think Malacia is obviously involved. I think they expect to announce Eriksen tomorrow morning with the new jersey and stuff like that. And he'll probably be involved in the pre-season tour. That'll be 2 done, which is great. And then we've still a couple of irons in the fire, obviously, with the boy Martinez and with Frankie de Jong. And then there's obviously other possibilities of guys maybe that haven't been touted yet that things will happen because of, knock-on situations. Obviously, whatever happens with Ronaldo we may have to replace. I know they're still looking for a backup goalkeeper and stuff like that as well. I said at the start of the window I thought we'd get 6, and I'm still pretty comfortable with sitting at that. If we can make Eriksen 2 tomorrow, I still firmly believe. I know Chelsea are trying to get involved in the De Jong deal. I still firmly believe, we'll get De Jong and we'll get Martinez, and then I think we'll have to replace Ronaldo and we'll get a keeper in. So that'd be 6. I'd be delighted with that. I'd be absolutely delighted with that, I have to say.
That'd be a huge move from where you're currently at the moment. That'd be a great result
100%.
for you.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure you've seen the videos yesterday and the day before with Malacia and stuff like that. He looked like a kid in Toys R Us on Christmas Day or something like that, didn't he? He looked really happy with his move.
It was nice, because so much at United
probably
for such a long
refreshing
time.
for Dazzler, isn't it?
Absolutely.
To see someone. Yeah.
It's been so much doom and gloom, and I'm still going through it on a daily basis on the United forum with our own fans, and there's arguments every day. And David, obviously, that was on earlier on as part of that forum, he sees it and he tries to. David stays out of it as much as he can. He doesn't get involved. I can't somehow keep my mouth shut, as you two know. But I mean, there's just so much doom and gloom around United. Fans are just looking at it, and everything is, the glass is half empty, and everything's doom and gloom, and we're not going to get Champions League next season. And what if Ten Hag doesn't work? And what if this and what if that? And I'm like, lads, whoa down here. Nothing is a guarantee anywhere. There's no guarantees anywhere. There's no guarantees that City and Liverpool, as good as they were this season, turn up next season and can put the exact same kind of performances and results in on the pitch. Is it likely? Is there a possibility? Have they built foundations? Have they excellent managers? Have they recruited well? Absolutely. Sometimes things just don't work, and
you guarantee anything. I mean, you could pick up injuries in pre-season, or anything could happen. You just don't know what's going to happen until you get to that
100%. So that's why I wouldn't be stressed out and pressured into that right now. If we're 10 games in, and I'm pulling on that yellow jersey with Konate on the back of it, at that stage I might decide in a bit of bother here, but we'll still sweat it out and give a little bit more time, and you might cue our friend David in there.
David, I know exactly where you're coming from, because I'm kind of like I'm like a counsellor for Darren at times. When he logs off those forums, he gets onto me straight away, pulling his hair out basically with what he hears and what he has to listen to. It's absolutely crazy. And it doesn't surprise me at all that it's just the lack of understanding of what it takes to get back to be competitive and stuff like that, and the patience and the time frame that it needs. And look, it doesn't matter what you bring in this window. It's still going to take another 1 or 2 windows to get you to where you really want to get to, or maybe a third one. Who knows?
Absolutely.
And I think there's just a lack of understanding on that. You know what I mean? I mean, when you think about it and you look at United and you think about where it was to where it is, the fall is absolutely monumental. But the foundation is there at times to build it back up again. It's not absolutely tore down. There is something there. You do have a new manager after coming in. He should do really well for you. It's a big upgrade on what you were dealing with. But yeah, I think it's just going to take time, and I think that the fans have to give it that bit of time. You know what I mean? And it's just the forums are just such a dark place.
I just seem to have an awful lot more patience for giving it time than a lot of the lads. And listen, you deal with Liverpool fans who have the same issue, and Ian deals with Chelsea fans who have the same problem, where everything wants to be a quick fix and they want it done yesterday, and they're not happy with a move, they're not happy with jerseys, and they're not happy with this and that. Like, I watch football because I love it and because I enjoy it.
Spoiled is the word.
Absolutely. And like, I don't see the need in getting down over something that you're supposed to enjoy. Like, I'm living for the opening day of the season. I'm going to the opening day of the season. If Brighton hand our arses to us on a play, will I be upset? Yeah. Will it kill me? Absolutely not. Will I probably rock up the next weekend with a big smile on my face and have that scarf over my head and sing and shout and roar? Yeah, I will. Because that's what you do, and that's how it rolls, you know what I mean? And if you don't want to do that for your team, pick up a jersey of another club and go make life easier for yourself. Just start supporting the teams that are at the top and make life really simple for yourself,
As we said last week, you could be only 10 years into a 30-year journey. I was there. Just get used to it, boys. Who knows what might happen? Ian, give us a quick update on Chelsea, where they're at and stuff like that. I know you've been on Twitter very vocal with some of the big Chelsea accounts and stuff like that, saying, relax, lads, calm down. They were expecting the Rolling Stones nearly to fly into town for Chelsea the first week Foley showed up and stuff like that. Give us an update on Chelsea, where they're at and stuff like that.
I'm similar to Dazzler, to be honest with you. I mean, I do think, and Dazzler would probably agree, I think Chelsea are still a little bit ahead in terms of United in their kind of rebuild, if you want to call it that, just in terms of, where we finished and obviously the previous year winning the Champions League. So there's still a lot of pieces there that are fucking phenomenal players. But it's the same thing. I mean, I'm going to be very fucking logical here. And say you have new owners that have 4 weeks, not just to get new signings, but also to sort the back room out, which is probably, if not more important than your signings, because you want to know who your director of football is going to be. You want to know who your day-to-day operations are going to be. I know we got the boy from your man who ran Man City. I can't think of his name right now. He's on the way to kind of do the day-to-day operations, and it might not be successful in getting asses in seats in the Etihad, but he's certainly done a decent job there. So you can see where he's going with it. And then obviously a big loss to some people, Marina and Bruce Buck and all. So you can see he's having to clear out at the top and trying to create a new identity within the club, albeit all the while, should I say, trying to get transfers over the line as well. So patience is a virtue, and the Sterling deal is pretty much done, I think, as far as I'm aware. It's pretty close to the line. I think if someone asked me, is that an
pretty
upgrade?
Much done, and I think he's going to be a really good signing.
Yeah, really good player last week.
Really good signing, I have to say.
Really good player. You look at his numbers.
I think he's direct. Yeah, I think he's direct, and I think he's gonna get lots of goals and lots of assists. And I think that's what Chelsea lacked a little bit last season, was goals and assists in that area of the pitch. And I think he'll bring that. And he's direct, and he's quick, and he likes to have a go with a player. He finishes well. He's learned so much under Guardiola. And I still think 45 million is not a bad price from either.
Not a bad price at all. And then I know the talks about the Ligt as well. Now, depending, every other journalist in the world will tell you that, Chelsea are in a good position with Juventus. But then you listen to the German journalist, he's on his way to Bayern. I don't know where they get it. The German journalist, Christian Falk and all, they're absolutely mad. Look, they'll actually probably tell you that Bruno Fernandes wants to go to Bayern if there was a sniff. They're just... a window, like as I was saying, a window with the Ligt, Nathan Aki, who absolutely, in my opinion, is still a fantastic player. He's actually a player I didn't want to leave Chelsea at all. Especially on that left-hand side as well, if he's still going to play in the back three, is a fine player with the Premier League experience that he has for 40 to 45 million. Look, that's just the market that you're in. It's not my money. If we get the fucking boy in and he's going to perform for us, then that's the problem with Chelsea fans and Man United fans, is what I've noticed. They think they're playing FIFA and they're talking about money. Oh, that's not a good price. Oh, that's not a good wage. These people want to just fucking moan about anything because something in their lives isn't happening the way they want it to. So they take it out on fucking Twitter and their football clubs. As Dazzler said, go follow another sport or another team and just piss off, because it absolutely bugs the shit out of me.
The finance thing
Sorry, Dazzler,
the finance thing really, really grates on me. That's not a good deal. Hold on a minute. Is the money coming from your pocket? No.
Yeah.
If the player's a success, is there a price you can put on that? Apparently we got a great deal with the boy Malacia because it was only 15 million plus 2. Now, if this kid comes in and doesn't have a kick, that's a really poor signing. Yep. That's 17 million down or 15 million down to Swanee, right? Whereas, somebody else can come in at 60 million, be an absolute worldie, and be an unbelievable signing. So judge them on what they do, not on what they cost.
It's even, do you know what even grates on me? It's even, even the lack of understanding of how these deals are constructed and the time that they take to get them done and how complex they can be now with the branding and the image rights and everything else. That. But even Darren, we spoke about the other day the way they monetize it and stuff like that. If you're looking at the Frankie de Jong deal, being say 55 million for argument's sake. It's 11 million over 5 years. It's not 55 million. You know what I mean? And it's a different
No.
construction within the finances of the club. And people sometimes just don't get that. It's weird. David's back with us again. Ian, this is one for you. He wants to know. He was talking with Darren apparently about Ziyech moving on, and he wanted to get your thoughts on that, Ian.
That's a good question, actually. I'm glad because you boys know my thoughts on it. I thought he was the one player that I would have been happy to move on out of the forwards that we currently have. It's not because of any dislike or disdain or anything. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player. I think he's got a wonderful left foot. He was absolutely unbelievable with Ajax. He's had moments. He's done bits with Chelsea. But I don't think he's what is needed in a top 3 Premier League team, especially with the high press and stuff like that. I was actually at the Brentford game when we got destroyed 4-2. He was at fault for one of the goals where he was just out-muscled, didn't have the pace to track back. He's a bit of a left foot wizard, and he's kind of a luxury in a team if you've already got the pieces around you for him to kind of free roam and stuff like that. Think Zola style. In fact, I wouldn't even put Zola in the same bracket because he was actually strong on the ball. But I think a loan move to AC Milan for Ziyech would absolutely be fantastic. I think Ziyech is Italian football, Spanish football is his kind of would be his thing.
When David says we spoke about this today, we spoke about a couple of different options for Ziyech and something we spoke about as United fans where we wouldn't be too disappointed to see him at United. And if there was some sort of a deal to be brokered for Ronaldo, like Chelsea brought Ziyech in at a 40 kind of a rate, yeah. He's kind of floundered a little bit. He hasn't been a massive success. The transfer fee takes a hit, obviously. You know,
still only 28 though as well, so he's in his prime years, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, from the like his transfer fee hasn't risen with his performance, is what I'm saying. It's certainly, you know what I mean. So what's he probably worth at the minute? He's probably worth somewhere between 25 and 30 million, I would estimate, right?
I think that would be fair, yeah.
Right, if we're thinking, you know, Ronaldo with the year left on him is worth 10 to 15, would us as United fans, you know, myself and David, would we be happy with, you know, Ronaldo plus 15 million for Ziyech? I think I would be okay with that. And I know now, maybe as a Chelsea fan, you're going, you're thinking, well, he didn't bring a lot to us, you know?
Yeah.
So why would you necessarily think he would bring? You know, we saw him play.
Ten Hag knows how to use him, to be fair, yeah.
Exactly. We saw him play under Ten Hag, and he was very, very effective. Anthony came in and played that position to a T, how Ziyech played it. He likes inverted wingers. He likes those wider forwards to come inside. And I think Ziyech would work on the right-hand side of a front three for United. I think he was very unlucky with injuries and with COVID and stuff like that as well. And he didn't seem to get a run in the team where he could kind of get his mojo going, let's say. And we know a lot of these players are confidence players, that they need to get things moving, you know. If there was a deal to be done, it wouldn't break me heart to see Ronaldo go and to see the kid come in at a cost of 10 or 15 million.
Well, he did. He was actually quite unlucky, to be fair, at the start of the season, because he had a great pre-season, in fairness to him. He had a great start to the season, and then he got an injury because, again, he's very slight, you know what I mean? Yeah. The injuries he was getting were kind of like falling on his shoulder, you know, because he didn't really kind of put much meat on him coming into the Premier League. But, yeah, he's a fantastic player, and he's been, you know, I don't hate him at all, but he would be the one player, I think, out of the lineup that we have at the moment that I wouldn't be as disappointed seeing leave as, say, a Pulisic or a Timo Werner. Just my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
A few Asman hailers there might build him up grand, you know what I mean? He'd look well, you know. I was going to say, David's not getting off the hook either. I have to go back to this. David, we want to know from you as well. Did you ever take on the style of a player that you loved when you were younger, or a player from your team or something like that? So let us know before we pop off. We're going to be jumping off in about 5 minutes. But let us know if you ever took on a hairstyle. We were talking
David's
about it earlier.
big David Beckham fan. A big David Beckham fan.
What are we thinking? Are we thinking the cornrows? Are we thinking the cornrows at any stage?
No. David's quite a reserved kind of guy. I wouldn't imagine it was the cornrows. I wouldn't hazard a guess as to what it is, but I know if it was anything, it was something to do with Beckham, I would imagine. That's my bet. So let's see if I'm right.
Just on David's last comment, just on the Ziyech, because he was listening to us. David, he actually that was his second season with Chelsea. In fairness, he came in at the same time as Timo and Havertz. So
our resident ref is back on again. Any word on Ben Hogan? Is he staying with Greystones or is he moving during the window? Mark, he is available. If Lucan want to pony up the money, they can give me a ring and we'll have a chat. I'll have no problem driving them out there on.
I heard Home Farmer sniffing around. Is that true?
There's a whisper of that.
I don't like hearing the words farm and sniffing in the same sentence. It's not good.
we tend to go out there just for parties more than football. David's back again. We'd see it's just unfortunate to him to be moved on after just, you're saying 2 seasons in. Most players need at least a season to settle, as we know. I just don't know. We have a lot of conversations at the time about Chelsea and what we think of, a Chelsea player. We've often spoke like that when we talk about the Drogbas and the Desailly's and the all these Ballocks and stuff like that and stuff, And I look at Sage and I think you're right. I just think he's a little bit light.
Even the short, because like what you're saying though is true. Even the shorter players, like when you think of Zola that played, you think of Hazard, you think of Williams and stuff like that. Even the likes of Petrescu and stuff, if you want to go further back, they were always stocky and strong on the ball. Ziyech is quite a luxury player, and I do understand what Dazzler was saying. It does make sense. Like obviously, with a player like that, your manager really has to believe in you and know exactly what he's going to get out of you. So. I never thought of that. His Ziyech move to United would kind of make sense if it were a possibility. But just that's it.
David's back. 100%. I was a Bex fan, so it was the World Cup '98 curtains. You'd be battered in Baldoyle for cornrows. Absolutely. Great shout, David. Great shout.
Hey. Brilliant.
Whopper, brilliant, David, love it. Just talking a quick chat about Liverpool. Obviously, I don't think we're going to do much more in the market. I know there's a lot of talk on around. We were linked with Asensio and stuff like that, but the club moved fairly quick to distance themselves from that. Thank God. But I think there is talk at the moment that they are going to try and get something done with Jude Bellingham. I don't know if they get a pre-contract done for next year. But they are pushing hard apparently to get something done this year. But I'd be surprised if it happened.
I just couldn't see that happen at all, especially coming into
you're not getting Jude Bellingham in this window. Not a hope.
I wouldn't have thought so. I know apparently they're pushing hard for it, but I don't see Dortmund giving them up. And I think, to be honest, once he goes into the World Cup and he has a good World Cup as well, I think his value will increase, and I think there'll be a lot of teams in for next season. So I'd be delighted even if they could get a pre-contract done. That would be absolutely sensational. But let's see what happens.
I don't think Dortmund will hang themselves out to dry like that. I think they're way too clever for that. I think they know this kid is going to be a massive talent. I think they know this kid could actually end up being the biggest transfer fee to come out of Dortmund, which what they've shifted over the years, that's scary. That this
I agree with that.
Could leave the building for 100 million. And I think you're right. I think he could have a massive World Cup. And I think if he does, and if England do, and he's involved, and teams see him, I think anybody will look at this kid and go, we need this guy. I think he's a guy who would fit into a City, would fit into a Liverpool, would fit into any of the great teams in world football. And I think it'll be a massive scrap to get a signature next summer.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to move for players in this window because I think there is a kind of a fear there that once they go into the World Cup, if they do perform well and you see players getting to quarterfinals or semi-finals or standout players or performances and stuff like that, their value is just going to go up and up and up. There's no doubt about it, and I think that's
certainly if they're south of 30 anyway. With older guys, it's slightly, but anyone even and anything pre-25 that plays at the World Cup and has a good World Cup, just add a zero on. Literally, just add a zero on. That's
I I think that's really the fear from teams at the moment, isn't it? In terms of the
Yeah.
and if you think about it, this isn't looking at the moment like a cheap transfer window either. When you see what players are going for at the moment,
No, this will be
there's
our
a lot
biggest
of
window
value.
since COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lads, it's been a pleasure having you on. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I'll be recording a show tomorrow, going out Saturday with a friend of mine, Ed Lindsay, who is the Bionic Biker. He's a friend of mine who went through multiple cancer battles, and he's now going to cycle from Mizenhead to Mallinhead, 630 kilometres. So he'll be looking for donations if anyone has a few bob to spare. And all the proceeds that he raises, he's hoping to raise about $5,000, and it's going to be going to the bone marrow the bone marrow.
I've got some
society.
colchicine powder for his arse after he's finished the 630 kilometres.
He's probably going to need it after 100 kilometres, but that's neither here nor there.
Bet he will.
But we'll have him on.
Never
He's on tomorrow
forget.
night. He's a great guy, and he has great stories during this, and it's going to go a little bit deep, and it might get a little bit emotional, but definitely for anyone who's going through a battle at the moment, or anyone who has gone through a battle or lost anyone, it'd be worth tuning in to listen to what he has to say. He's a great guy. Also, next week we're going to have a guest on, one Mr. Wayne Shaw. You will remember him, the goalkeeper who tucked into, he calls it a pasty, that it wasn't a pie.
A pasty.
Pasty, sorry, not a pie. But he's going to be on the show, I think, either next Tuesday or Wednesday, to talk about his career in football and that iconic moment, probably one of the most iconic FA Cup moments off the pitch, I would say. But we'll be having a chat with Wayne Shaw and going through his football career, so it should be a bit of fun. As always, on Monday, we'll be back with the transfer show, myself and Darren. So hopefully at that stage, a lot of business will have been done, especially with teams heading off tomorrow for their pre-season tournaments and stuff like that. Until next time, folks, if you want to contact the show, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You know where to find us. It's the upper tier. Audio shows are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And if you want to email the show, the upper tier podcast at gmail.com. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat today for contributing to the show, especially David, Mark, Derek. Go check out their shows. Morris as well, check out his channel. Ian, tell them about the Chelsea Roar and Dynamo's Dozen. What's happening?
Chelsea Roar, if you are a Chelsea fan that was afraid to comment, that's all good. You can follow me on the Chelsea Roar at Chelsea Roar on Twitter. And we're at the Chelsea Roar on YouTube as well. And yours truly and Niall have been on the show. Dazzler has yet to make an appearance yet, but I'm sure that'll change at some point during the season, maybe in a pre-match or something like that. So, there's lots of good stuff. Talk to a lot of legends. Talk to the great Paul Canaville, who also had his battles with cancer and racism. Being the first black player at Chelsea back in the day. Really, really good interview, even if you're not a fan of Chelsea Football Club, just to show you how far we've come, obviously, in such a short space of time. And then, of course, Dynamo's Dozen. Niall, you're the co-host. We're always giving people their wrestling fill and their update, and sometimes we even interview potential murderers, which I did during the week with Ian Bailey, of course.
There's no potential on that murder, by the way. That's like.
Well, this is
kind of like saying the butcher who killed my dinner was a potential murderer. No, he was.
It's kind of like saying the BBC potentially knew about certain things, it's a great look. It's an interview. It's got people giving us absolute, heat, and some people kind of understand that it's just an interview. Remember, guys,
is it
just an interviewer.
Is it?
It's not. Well, he's also on Cheapy as well. So there you go. But that's at Dynamo's Dozen on Twitter, and of course, Dynamo's Dozen. Just go into YouTube and listen to some great conversations about the great world and the cartoon world of professional wrestling with myself and Niall, and I'm sure Dazzler will be joining us soon on that as well. So, thanks, awesome. Niall.
Brilliant, great to have you on, guys. Cheers, folks. We will talk to you again real soon.